Hello everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to what is the first episode, if you like, of this series where I'm going to be doing something that I don't think anyone's done before. I've seen a lot of these videos, people ranking their favourite RPGs or Call of Duty or whatever. And I thought to myself it might be really fun to do a similar thing, but instead of specific genres or specific series, make it a bit different. And it's quite an ambitious thing. We're going to go down a bit of a memory lane with me, and we're doing every single game that I have ever played, or at least all of the ones that I absolutely know definitively that I've played. There's probably hundreds of games maybe that I've played and have completely gone out of my head and I have absolutely no recollection of whatsoever. But this is going to be every single game that I know I've played and sort of remember a decent amount to actually have a comment on. And the way we're going to do it is every episode is going to have a different generation that I've played, with some episodes maybe doing 2 or 3, because there are some where I've literally played 2 games. You'll see those in future weeks, but at the moment it's just going to be, the idea is 1 a week, and that's going to be, the first generation I ever played to start with that one, and then the next generation I played, or the next console I played, or whatever you want to call it, and then carry on from there basically. So this week we're starting with, it's not technically the first console I ever played, because the first thing that I played on was actually a console, and we're doing Mega Drive. Because Mega Drive games, I didn't play them on the Mega Drive. Excuse me, I didn't play them on the Mega Drive, but I played them on a PC because we had like cracked discs where it had pretty much every single Mega Drive or Genesis game that you can think of on it. But I'm counting it as a Mega Drive because that's what the games were meant to come out on. So for the sake of argument, we're just going to call it Mega Drive. And just to kind of show you what we're doing, the tier ranks basically, we've got at the top outstanding. So these are games that, like, there's no beating it, you have to play it. If you didn't play this game, then you didn't play that generation, frankly. And then you've got great, so something that isn't quite amazing, not like quite the best, but it's still really, really good anyway. Good, speaks for itself, it's a good game, but nothing like special. Okay, so it's like passable, it sort of works. It's not broken, but it's not amazing, or it's not even that good. And this, oh, by the way, these are going to stay for every single video, these ranks. Every generation is going to have the same criteria. And then you've got poor, so something that's like, it had potential, but there's just too much against it that it's not good. Awful, just completely avoid, like just absolute rubbish, the worst of the worst. And then I've got 2 more. I've got barely played, so something that I know that I've played, but I played maybe like 5-10 minutes of and just thought, nah, I'm not carrying on with this. And then don't remember, so it's kind of similar in a way where it's something I've definitely played, but either I've barely played or just like there's not enough that I remember about it to really like put it into any of the other categories. I might remember actually playing it and moving around in the game, but the actual game itself, I just haven't got the first clue what it's about or whatever. You get the idea. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. That's how this series is going to work. Like I say, every week's going to be a different console, and it's going to have the same criteria, and it's going to be every game that I definitely have played that I remember. So that's the basics of it. Yeah, so let's just get into it. Let's go straight away. Aero the Acrobat. This is going to be one that is, you're going to find that I probably say this about a lot of games in this generation, especially, where it's games that I've played and I've played quite a lot of, but I never beat them, or I never necessarily got that far. I just enjoy them because when I would have played this, I was like 3 or 4. So it's not like these are going to be games that I'm like, wow, the finale or the story or whatever. Not that any of these games really had amazing stories anyway, because the Mega Drive is sort of just for the gameplay really, because that's very early on. Aero the Acrobat, I would say I definitely enjoyed it. Like, I kept coming back to it and playing little bits of it, but there's just nothing about it that really like is particularly special, or like I wouldn't say it's generation defining or anything like this. So I would just say it's a good game, like it works, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's definitely better than okay, because it is replayable, at least to me, because I played it quite a bit. Aladdin, I think this would be one that
if I didn't put it in at least great, people probably get upset because it is one of those ones like, and it was, I think it came out recently as well. They not remastered it, but they ported it onto newer consoles because they know that this one and The Lion King in particular are two that are like classics from that generation, basically. So I think I have to put it in great. Alex Kidd, it's a weird one. Like, again, it's one that I played a lot, never beat it, but it is quite good. Like, it's enjoyable. There's a lot of really cool pathways you can find and things that you can do, like rock paper scissors, to get new resources, equipment, stuff like that. So I think for the argument's sake, I'll put it in great. It is a quite great game, to be honest. Alien 3, honestly, I don't remember. I know that I played it, and I think I played it quite a bit, but I don't remember it at all, to be honest. Animaniacs, you'll find a lot of these, or at least I'll find a lot of these. I did play them a lot, and I replayed a lot of them just because they are fun, but there's just, I don't remember it enough, or any of these really, to say that a lot of them are great or good. But this one I would say is okay. Like, a lot, so many Mega Drive games and all these older games are sort of side-scrolling platformers, and this one was an okay one. It wasn't like, anything better, I wouldn't say. Blaster Master 2, I kind of do remember it, and you're in like a little car or something and you drive around blasting stuff, hence why it's called Blaster Master. But yeah, I have to say, barely played it. I played it maybe a couple of times, replayed it, or attempted to. But, I remember it. I remember it more than Alien 3, let's put it that way. Booger Man. Now this one was definitely an interesting one because when we had these cracked discs that I mentioned, where we could play like basically every Mega Drive game on the PC, this was one that me and my brothers would try to play, excuse me, or replay, because it's kind of stupid and silly. Like, this guy who goes around flicking bogeys at things and like crawling through toilets and weird stuff like that. And it got to the point where my parents actually tried to stop us from playing, like tried to delete it from the disc and ban us from it, because it was just seemed like just too gross or inappropriate, I guess. But I would say it was a good game. Like, it was okay. It had some really interesting, I had some kind of funny moments, and just the grossness of it is kind of weird. Like, I just think it's a very strange game. So I'd say good. See, I can't even see what this one's meant to say. I know it's Catastrophe featuring Speedy Gonzales. I don't know what the first bit is. I think it's something to do with cheese. I have to say, I really like this game because you sort of see, when you see Looney Tunes and things like that, it's like, oh, they're really cool characters, and Speedy Gonzales is definitely one where, he's got this kind of ability where he's really quick, and that makes perfect sense for a game that is a side-scrolling platformer, and it definitely made it a lot of fun. And I definitely remember playing it quite a lot, so I would say it's kind of a great game, to be honest. Don't know what else to say about it. It's just fun, and I think there's a few Looney Tunes games here, I think, and they're all kind of really good. There wasn't really a really bad one. Cool Spot, I don't even know what it is, to be honest. Like, it's just a sort of red disc that walks around, doesn't really do a lot, and I remember playing it quite a few times, but it's just okay. Like, I didn't really see the point of it, to be honest. Wasn't particularly fun, wasn't particularly memorable, so yeah, it's just okay. What is that one? I cannot, this is a problem, I can't see. Oh, okay, so this is the next Looney Tunes one, and again, I can't see the title, can't remember off the top of my head, but basically you can choose between either playing as Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote from the Looney Tunes, and I did play this a lot. Like, this was a really good game. Really, really enjoyed it, played it a lot, and it's just really cool to be able to choose between these two characters. They're two kind of really interesting characters in Looney Tunes anyway, and so to be able to choose between them to play, and then both having different kind of play styles, that was really, really interesting to me. So I think it was a great game. Dinosaurs for Hire, to be honest, it was okay. Like, it worked. Didn't really see the point of it. Again, kind of like which one was it I said? Probably a couple of them. But yeah, I didn't really see the point of it. It was just kind of a bit of fun, dinosaurs with guns, just walking around. Not really anything better than that. Dinosaur's Tale, I think it was a good game. I didn't play it very much, I didn't get very far through it, but I definitely remember playing it a few times, or at least trying to play it a few times. And so I would say it was good. It's better than okay, but certainly not great, so it has to be good, yeah. Duke Nukem 3D, I technically played this actually on PC, not a cracked version on PC of a Mega Drive game or anything like that. And that is a great game. That is a really, really good game. The idea of Duke Nukem in a 3D world, it makes sense, and especially in a time period where 3D was sort of starting 3D first-person shooters was, in style, with Doom and Wolfenstein, things like that. This was definitely a big contender to those games, I think. It was its own thing, it was fun, it was funny, and it's definitely a good entry into the Duke Nukem series, especially for the first time, being 3D, especially considering what we come to later on with Duke Nukem Forever. But we'll get to that when we get to the 360 games. So next is Earthworm Jim. I feel like it is one of those games that everyone, like, if you talk about Mega Drive games, this will always be one that people talk about because it's so popular and so well known, and it's definitely better than good. By outstanding, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just great. I think it's just a great game. Echo the Dolphin, one that I don't know what it is about it. I kept trying to replay it and sort of try and find the point of it and find out how you actually proceed. Like, it's just a game that doesn't really tell you what's supposed to do. And I swear, as a kid, I was trying to get my way through this game in every possible way. I pressed every button, interacted with it, and just nothing worked or did anything. So, for me, it's just okay. Like, it works, and it's popular. Like, a lot of people like it. And the idea of it's really good, but it's just okay. Like, I never found the point of it, to be honest. So, yeah, that is what it is. What is this? Oh yeah, Taz Escape from Mars. This one I did enjoy. Again, not one that I remember a huge amount, but I know that I played it. And so it's difficult as to whether I put it in barely played, don't remember, or good. It's one of those three. But for the sake of argument, I put it in good, just because I do remember it, and I did play it quite a bit. So, yeah. It just has to be good. Fantasia, I did play it several times, but I feel like I barely played it. I don't remember anything outside of even the very, very first level, and I do kind of remember that. So I do remember it a little bit, but I barely played it really. I don't feel like I progressed in it at all. So yeah, just barely played. Okay, so Fun and Games, which is just a mixture of party games kind of thing. Well, not party games, but they're like educational stuff, I think. So there's, I think it's like a wardrobe that you can take clothes out and make a outfit. There's an easel, so you can do some painting and sort of learn some art stuff. It is definitely a kids game, and there's not a lot to it, absolutely, but I think it's okay. For what it is, which is just it's like educational mixture of sort of party games type thing. It's okay. Garfield, I know I've played it. I know I have, because when I was doing the research for this, definitely I recognised certain screenshots, but I don't remember it at all, to be honest. I really don't remember it outside of those screenshots. Golden Axe, I have played an awful lot because I played it on the discs that I had of these Mega Drive games. And then when I got my Game Boy Advance, I had a cartridge that had Golden Axe and I think 2 other games, maybe like Sonic Spinball or something like that, and I did play Golden Axe a lot, so I think it's outstanding. I really do. I think the side-scrollingness of it amongst all these other ones that are side-scrollers, the look of it was great, like the art style of it was really, really nice, the music was really good. The power-ups you could get actually made you feel really strong, and I definitely felt like I was able to progress even at that young age in it. I never felt like it was particularly difficult to understand or get into. You could actually play it reasonably well, and so yeah, for me it is an outstanding game. Home Alone 2, again, this is one where it's like kind of I played the first level and I played it quite a few times, but really I barely played it, to be honest. It's just I jumped into it and then jumped straight back out again, kind of thing. And then Kid Chameleon, on the other hand, I played an awful lot, and I did progress quite a decent amount in it. And again, similar to Golden Axe, like it gives you a real sense of like you know you're powering up in a really cool, fun way, and then the levels themselves are actually really cool. So it's like you kind of I think the story is you're in like a virtual reality kind of situation, and then you get all these power ups, and you kind of go into new zones, and it kind of looks like, you know, a holodeck or something where it goes all liney and neon, and then you change levels that way. And I'll say it's an outstanding game. I really do. I just think it's so much fun, and there's so many different types of power-ups and variants you can do in it. Really made it exciting. Lemmings. It's going to be one that I think a lot of people, they're going to say, you know, that is like an all-time classic, which of course it is. It is an all-time classic, what can I say? But at the end of the day, it's okay. I just think it's okay, like, you know, I wouldn't recommend that to be a game that people would play if they've never played it before, because I don't think there's much to be gained from playing it. You know, it is what it is. Just, you know, building a path to get these little people along. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. I keep saying that. What is this? Oh yeah, Lion King. Okay, so along with Aladdin, which of course is great, we also have the Lion King, which is the other classic that was recently sort of ported into newer consoles and newer generations as well. Yeah, as well as Aladdin. And I think because of that, it's going to have to go into the same bracket. I wouldn't say it's outstanding, at least not for me. It's not a game that I personally really identify with. So I wouldn't say it was outstanding, but it is a great game, and I can't deny that it has a very high reputation, and I can't put it in good for that, because that would be kind of disrespectful. So I just think it has to be it's just a great game. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. This, I don't think I ever played it on its own really, but I know that it's included in the Sonic Mania game as like a kind of Easter egg boss, basically. But I think I did definitely play it once or twice when I did have those discs with the Mega Drive games on it. I just don't remember it really at all. All I have to go on is the level in Sonic Mania that kind of makes me remember, oh yeah, of course I have played that. So I just don't remember it. The New Zealand story, this may be one that you've never heard of it in your whole life. Even if you did play Mega Drive games or Genesis games, you may have never heard about in your life, because it's quite obscure. But it's very sweet, you're like this little Kiwi chick kind of thing, and I don't remember much more out of that in terms of the gameplay. But it was quite sweet, and I did enjoy it, but I feel like I did barely play it. So because I didn't get that far in it, or I didn't, spend lots and lots of time on it. I just kind of jumped in a few times. So yeah, barely played. That's just what it's going to have to go into. Also, by the way, if it says on any of these pictures, Genesis, Mega Drive, the difference, I'm just calling this like the Mega Drive list because that's what I consider the games that I would play to have been the console that they would come out on. I know the Genesis as well, but these are just the best pictures that I could find for some of them, so I just put with the Genesis logo there. Aussie fans, barely played this. I recognise screenshots, I recognise the characters are like this really weird looking elephant things, but I barely played it. I just know that you sort of start off in like a kids play area, like all these toys sort of sat around, and they're really, like, the characters themselves are really small. But I don't remember it, and well, maybe a little bit, but I did barely play it really. Okay, next up is Paperboy. So basically you just drive up a street on your bike, throw newspapers at things, and I know that you could like hit people, you could hit fire, what do you call them, like those red fire hydrants, as well as actually getting into people's letterboxes, and that was really, really fun. That was a really cool mechanic. So I think it's just a good game. Like, there's not really anything there that's gonna push the boat. It's not like one of these ones, for example, where they are kind of held like in really high regard in that kind of generation. But it's certainly better than OK. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Prince of Persia. This is obviously the original Prince of Persia, and for the time, I'm sure it was probably very, good or maybe revolutionary or something like this, even though again, excuse me, even though it is again another side-scrolling platformer. But for me, it's just awful. Like, it's just a bad game. Like, it's not fun. It's not like, it's not quick to climb up things or to move along, and it's very awkward. And even though it did span, or rather, it did create a whole series of games that some of them are really, really good, this one was just not good at all. Did not enjoy it at all. Awful, awful game. And this is all my opinion, by the way. Pugsy, this is quite a sweet one. You're like a little, like, living anchor basically, and you're kind of on this pirate's island, and you can pick up weapons, and I don't remember what the enemies are. Probably like animals or other weird creatures, but it was really sweet. It was quite nice. It was quite a nice little relaxing game for what it was. So I'd have to say it was good. Ren and Stimpy, to this day, I don't have a clue who these characters are. I don't know what they kind of already existed as, or if they existed as anything before these games. And I've never been interested enough to look it up. But I played the game quite a few times, or at least I attempted to. And it's just really, really boring. Really boring. Like, I just don't see the point of it. And maybe it's because I don't know the characters, I don't have any interest in the characters, but for me it is really poor. Like, there's nothing fun about it, to be honest. All I remember is kind of like you climb into a fridge, and then you're kind of working your way out of the fridge because you're in this house. But it is poor. I mean, I'm sorry if you really like it, but it's just a poor game. Very similar to this next one. Actually, no, this isn't the one I'm thinking of. It just looks very similar. But Rescue, this is one that I kept forgetting what it was called, and I really always wanted to play it when I was little. And I had these discs, and I kept forgetting what it was called, so I never knew what to click on when I was in the disc to play it. But now I know what it was called. It's called Rescue, spelled R-E-S-Q, so Rescue. Really, really clever name. And I think it's okay. I think I liked it a lot better when I was young than I do looking back on it, because it's kind of like you can like jetpack around, and you get this cool little spaceship thing. You sort of zip around these caves, and you can kind of disembark it and go and do a dungeon or whatever, and then go back to it. But yeah, looking back, I think it is just okay. Like many of these games, it's so long ago that I don't necessarily remember them a whole ton, and being so young, I didn't play them like really far through. But this one is just okay. Yeah, what can I say? Rice Star. Where do we think? Again, this is one that people have a lot of affection for, and quite rightly so. This is a really good game. This one is probably, I wouldn't say it is my favourite, because we'll get to that in a minute, but this is definitely one of the top, I would say, 3 games on this console generation, if we want to call it that, of all time. Because the gameplay is really, really fun. You kind of like, you can stretch your arms to like hang on to things and spin around, and you can shoot up in the air, and the level design was all really beautiful. The music was absolutely incredible. The bosses were really fun as well. Just everything about it, and it really sticks in my mind because I know that I played it a lot when I was young, and I definitely know that it's one of those ones that is just brilliant, and because of that I just have to put it in outstanding. These, like, I don't think you could argue that these 3 games aren't outstanding, especially Rice Star. Like, that is, again, that's one that you could kind of argue as being console defining, I would say. Road Rash is next. Again, this is one that I know they did like a spiritual successor to recently. I think it's called Road Rage, or no, not Road Rage, it's Road something anyway. But Road Rash, we played it a lot. This was a fun game, because you had a motorbike, went off on races, but it kind of encourages you to win the race in the most sort of unfair way possible. It gives you police batons, chains, whips, I think, is like just all these tools to knock your opponents off their bikes, and then you can use the winnings from your race excuse me, to buy new bikes or upgrades for your bikes. And that's really kind of it. That is really it, but I would have to say it is a great game. Really, really fun. Rolo, this was one that I could not for the life of me remember when I was doing the research to do this video what the name of the game was. And it was only when I was looking through screenshots of these older games that I actually found it and realised, okay, that's what it is. And this is a really sweet game where you start off as an elephant and you have to go around saving other animals, and then they kind of follow you on the adventure as well. And I think you can use them to your advantage to like do other things. I believe I might be wrong there, but you definitely kind of go around these really nice levels and save these really cute animals. I would say it's a good game. I'm probably remember it more fondly than it deserves necessarily, because it's an okay game in theory, but because I remember it so well, I would have to put it up to good. Now we're getting into the real stuff. The first Sonic the Hedgehog. So this is the first game that I ever played in my life, or at least the first I ever remember playing, but this definitely, I'm sure, is the first game that I ever played in my entire life. And although I would say subsequent games are a lot better than this game, the fact that this created such an enormous brand and series, there's absolutely no denying that this is an outstanding game. Again, I know that other later ones are much better, and we'll get to those in literally just a minute, but for what it did for the series, I think it's just, it has to be outstanding. There's no way it can't be. Sonic 2, I played every Sonic game from this lot that we've got here. I definitely did. But Sonic 2, I don't know what it is about it. Maybe I just didn't gel with it or enjoyed the other ones a lot more. But I don't remember it really barely at all. Even when I look at screenshots, I really don't remember it that much. And it may be that I actually do remember it if I played it, but from what I've seen when doing the research, I think that's definitely the one that I played the least, and so I remembered it the least. Certainly a lot less than this one, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'm just going to call it Sonic and Knuckles basically, because I know that Sonic 3 came out and then they kind of did Sonic and Knuckles as like an add-on expansion kind of thing, I think. But for me it's always Sonic and Knuckles. And I not only did I enjoy this one a lot more than the original Sonic the Hedgehog, but this is my favourite game of the entire that entire console generation, whatever we're calling it. And so of course I have to put in outstanding. Like, it wouldn't make sense to put in anything else. It sits alongside Sonic 1, and if you haven't played that, then again, kind of similar to a couple of the other games that I've said, if you haven't played Sonic and Knuckles, then you didn't experience that generation. No, you just didn't. Sonic 3D, that was actually a surprisingly good game for me. I think I didn't play it on the same discs, these cracked discs that we had. I played it on like a really cheap disc for the first time that we got from like, I don't know, Pound Stretcher, which was, it's a really old pound shop that doesn't really exist anymore. And that was the first time, and I did enjoy it. So I think it's good for a sort of 3D Sonic game. It's one of the better ones, to be honest. So, and I think because it's the first one, I have to hold it up a bit higher. So I'll put it in good. Sonic Spinball. I've got a feeling, and I don't know if I'm correct about this, but I've got a feeling this one is kind of a bit of a butt of the joke for a lot of Sonic fans in a way, for considering the early games anyway, because it's so different, and I don't think in theory it makes sense to do a Sonic pinball game and have it as its own thing. But if you've played it, you'll know that that's absolutely not the case. It makes total sense, because it is just a fantastic game. It's so much fun. I played this all the time, especially as well when I got that cartridge that I mentioned with Golden Axe. I played this so much, and because of that, again, has to be an outstanding. 3 Sonic games back to back here, because these are 3 absolutely incredible games. Hopefully you'll agree as well. Sparkster, I feel like I did play it a lot. I did, or at least tried to. I jumped into it quite a few times, and I think maybe I got stuck on the first or second boss, so it stopped me from really diving into it deeply. But I definitely played it, and I do remember it, so I can't put in these 2, and it's not awful or poor. So I think for the power of deduction, it's just gonna have to be good. Like, it's a good game, but I don't remember it. Well, I do remember it. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't get very far. This one is Spider-Man. Specifically, it's Spider-Man versus the Kingpin, and again, it's one of those ones like all these other ones that you kind of like. Oh, sorry, I got into the first level, and I sort of got through the first level, and then after that, I haven't got the first clue what happens or anything about the game at all. And I don't think it's even that okay. Like, it's I don't really see enough of the points of it for me to say it's okay, because considering these other games that are okay, I think this game as a Spider-Man game is way too early. Like, they started making Spider-Man games kind of way too soon, and superhero games in general. I think we've got an X-Men game here as well. I don't think personally they work on those older consoles, because like the idea of Spider-Man, you know, swinging through buildings and all that kind of stuff doesn't really become appropriate, I wouldn't say, until later generations. So to me, it's kind of a poor game. Like, it's not awful by any means. Like, it's good enough for me to have played it, but I just don't see the need for it. Like, it's just way too soon to start doing Spider-Man games, in my opinion. Splatterhouse, this is a very, very different game. This is the first really violent game that I ever played. Like, this was properly gruesome, like, you know, quite disturbingly gruesome, and definitely probably shouldn't have been playing it, but I did anyway, because I was just like, I was enthralled by it. It was just so visceral and bloody and different, and, you know, just kind of crazy and actually quite scary as well, but I still played it anyway, which is pretty good for, like, you know, however old I was, 5 or 6 or whatever at this point. And I don't know in terms of being how good it was. I just remember it being just so different. I don't think it was that good, really, so I think I'm gonna have to put it in okay. I couldn't say it was any better than that. Like I say, it's just sort of like the idea of it is just crazy, and it definitely left an imprint on my mind anyway. Streets of Rage, I feel like I've played maybe the other ones as well, but for the sake of argument, I'm just like, and this might be a thing that I do in future videos as well, where I might have played multiple ones of that series, but I don't remember them enough to individually have them be distinct, so I'll just lump them all in with the first one, just because for me they're kind of like, you know, they might be the same game basically. So Streets of Rage, I would say it is a good game, to be honest, because again, amongst all of these side scrollers and all the other side scrollers that I have never even played, it's one that I could keep going back to and actually playing quite a bit. The idea of picking up like any random object from the street and smacking someone in the head with it was really fun and just kind of stupid, so it is a fun game. It's not great by any means, but it's a good game. This one, again, it's another Taz game, and kind of similar to the other one. Where have I put it? Did I put it in? Yeah, I put it in good, so it's there. But this one, I don't really remember as much. In fact, barely at all. So I think and I definitely know I've played it and I did enjoy it. I know I do, because I kind of remember that much, but I don't remember it enough to really make that much of a comment on it. Again, another absolute all-time classic, Tetris. What can I say? You have to put it in outstanding. It's kind of the ultimate puzzle game, and that's why it's, you know, still one of the best-selling games of all time, because it's just so timeless. You know, just fitting blocks together. There's something about it that's so satisfying when you get it right, and it's so timeless that, you know, you can't put it anywhere else. It is an outstanding game. The Flintstones. Again, I just don't remember it. Like, I know that I've played it, and I can kind of see in my mind's eye what the levels look like, and the what the creatures and environment look like, but I don't remember it enough at all to be able to say whether it was good or not. The Lost World Jurassic Park game, I definitely remember this, and although I wouldn't, again, and I feel like I'm going to repeat myself quite a lot, although I didn't get very far because I was still young, I didn't really get the idea or have the skill to be able to get far through these games. I do remember still being able to, like, find weapons and kill like certain dinosaurs and move around through the level enough. But I don't remember it super well to the point where it's one of those games that I played like loads and loads and loads. So for the sake of argument, I'm just going to put it in okay, because it's definitely not poor or awful or anything like that. It's just not particularly burned in my mind. Bart Simpson, something about Space Mutants, I can't quite see that. I remember playing it quite a bit and trying to get into it, trying to really enjoy it, because I do like The Simpsons, or at least I did. But I have to say it's quite a poor game. Didn't really do anything special, didn't do anything fun or interesting. And I wouldn't say it was awful, like that'd be unfair. It's not Prince of Persia kind of awful, but Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, now this is one that is really interesting because it's kind of several games in one. You've got like this kind of strategy game where you have to move Thomas around to be able to pick up trailers or other tanks and move them to other locations, and it's like a kind of puzzle game as well. But you also have these side activities where there's like colouring books and stuff that you could do, which was really interesting. And it definitely made it more playable, because if you were getting frustrated with the moving the tanks around and things like that, then you could at least do some colouring in or whatever to still play the game, but just escape from the frustration of it. So I would say it's a good game because of that, purely because it is those multiple things that you can do in it. Toe Jam and again, this is very similar to Ren and Stimpy with me, where I do not know who these characters are, I don't know where they've come from, I didn't understand the game whatsoever, and unlike Ren and Stimpy, I never found myself able to actually progress in any way through a level, and other than that, I have a kind of same relationship with the two of them, not to mention that the two kind of look very similar in their character designs, in the same, like one's thinner and longer and one's bigger and smaller, but I don't prefer it to Ren and Stimpy, and I wouldn't say it was even as good as poor. So with Prince of Persia, it goes back over in awful. And I feel like this is going to be another one, I'm afraid, Vector Man. I'm just going to stick it in there straight away. Just didn't see the point of it. It wasn't that fun to me. It's just kind of like there. You're like this kind of green blob that just goes around shooting things in a level, and maybe it's just because of my youth and my naivety that I didn't understand the point of it or the story or anything like that. But for me, it's just like completely pointless. It really is. Wiz and Liz, this may well be one that no one or very few people have ever played, but it was very fun. I think the whole point of it, or the whole kind of objective of the game, is you run along the level really, really fast, and you try and collect a certain amount of letters or like ingredients to put in a cauldron, something like that. But I remember enjoying it an awful lot. I think purely because you do run really fast, and ironically you run faster than Sonic does in any of his games. And so I would say I'm struggling between okay and good, because objectively I have to think like other people, they may not find it that good, but I did find it good, and because this is my list, I'm going to have to put it in good. X-Men 2, I think I have to just keep it, as I said before, keep it consistent. It's exactly the same as Spider-Man, the similar thing where you're making superhero games way too soon, and I know they were trying to capitalize on something that's popular, and so they make these games, but it just doesn't make sense to me to have games where you're utilizing characters' abilities in a game that you can't really utilize it very well or in a way that is actually fun. So I think it is kind of a poor game. I just didn't connect with it in any way, to be honest. Now we're down to our last two. God, this has gone quick. Yogi Bear, what is it called? Cartoon Caper. Okay, Yogi Bear Cartoon Caper. I think as well, this is one where you just kind of wander around the level, and if I'm not wrong, you collect picnic baskets or something. And see, now the fact that I'm thinking about it too much, I think that kind of chooses for me what I have to put in. I don't really remember it. I did play it a decent amount, I think, or at least I remember that I do, but yeah, I just don't remember it. And then finally, Zoom. This one is just a nice, easy game. Like, again, it's kind of a puzzle game where you have to go around a grid of squares, and I think you have to cut off as many squares as you can. And the more squares that you can cut off, you have to like isolate yourself from the enemy, which is like this moving hand. And that was a fun game, just because it's like you know you have to kind of think about it a bit. It is a puzzle game. The levels were kind of like nicely designed with a sort of flat grid system with neon lights around it. And so let's put it. Let's put it in good. That's the only one that I think would make sense, is to put it in good. Let's put it there actually, in the order. Wow, so that's the whole list. So let's just run through it all again, just to like recap. Outstanding games. So these are ones that, for me personally, you know, they are revolutionary, and ones that I personally really loved playing. So Golden Axe, Kid Chameleon, Rise Star, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic Spinball, and Tetris. I don't think you could argue with those as being outstanding, could you? I mean, they're pretty incredible. Great. Sorry, talking with my hand in front of my mouth. Great. So you've got Aladdin, Alex Kidd, whatever this one was called, Catastrophe with Speedy Gonzales. Oh god, why is this one called? I know that I did for the research. I was like, I gotta remember that name, and I don't remember it. So, but yeah, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. That's what that one is. Duke Nukem 3D, Earthworm Jim, Lion King, Road Rash. I think that's perfectly fair. Good. Aero the Acrobat, Boogerman, whatever the subtitle of it was called. I think it was called like a Pick and Flick Adventure. I think is what it was called. Dinosaur's Tale. I might have been generous with that one, to be honest. But I'm not going to move it now. I think that's okay. Taz Escape from Mars. I think I might have been generous with that one as well, actually, looking back on it. See, I'm overthinking it now. I'm thinking I have to put that in Barely Remember. Yeah, I'm going to have to put in Barely Remember, sorry. But the other one as well, because I don't remember it and I don't distinct them particularly well. Yeah, let's just put it there. Make life easy. Paperboy, that is a good game. Pugsy, Rolo, Sonic 3D, Streets of Rage, Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Wiz and Liz, and Zoom. I haven't got any qualms really with this one, except maybe Dinosaur's Tale. And that is kind of bugging me now the more that I look at it, so I'm going to move it into OK. Which would make our OK ranks as Animaniacs, Cool Spot, Dinosaurs for Hire, I think that's what it's called anyway, Echo the Dolphin, Fun and Games, Lemmings, Rescue, Sparkster, Splatterhouse, The Lost World, and Dinosaur's Tale. Okay, I'm quite happy with that one actually. Now that Dinosaur's Tale is in there, it makes more sense. Paw, Ren and Stimpy, Spider-Man versus the Kingpin, Bart and the Space Mutants, or whatever you want to call, whatever it actually says. And X-Men 2. And then we get to Awful. And I'm sorry if any of you really like the Prince of Persia, but for me it's just not. It's just not for me at all. So we've got Prince of Persia, Toe Jam and Earl, and Vectorman. And then Barely Played, we've got Blaster Master 2, Fantasia, Home Alone 2, New Zealand Story, and Otifants. Yeah, these ones that I don't think you could dispute. They're not like classics, I wouldn't say by any means, or at least not in my view. But I'm not going to rank them as being good or bad, because I don't remember. I barely played it enough to rank it that way. And then Don't Remember, Alien 3, Garfield, Mean Bean Machine, Sonic 2, Taz. Well, both Taz games obviously, because I just moved one of them. The Flintstones, and Yogi Bear. And that's the whole list. So this is, again, my list of the Mega Drive games that I know that I've played and remember. There may be some that I'm missing that I don't remember at all. And as we go into future weeks and we cover the other generations and other consoles, you might find that there's still going to be classic games that I've not played at all, or that I'm missing that I might have played. But we'll kind of address that when we come to it. But anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this. This is going to be really fun for me, at least, to like go through all these games and go through memory lane a bit. And as a first video, I'm still kind of figuring out the presenting style and the look of it, and how to make this more entertaining and more interesting, because I do kind of stutter and quite a bit, and my voice, I really hate my voice, but I'm kind of getting over that. But I'm hopefully hopefully this is interesting enough for you to watch and trigger some memories of your own history of games as well, that there's kind of some shared relationship there. So yeah, if you did enjoy it, do subscribe, make sure you keep up, because I'm going to be doing an episode of this every Sunday, and so you know that every week there's going to be a new one. So we've got, and the way that I've worked it out, there's 9 weeks of content, so that's basically 2 months, week to week, of these videos going through my history of games. So you know that there's going to be content, and hopefully I'm going to get better with each one, because this one, it did take me a little while to get it set up, get the camera sorted, hopefully it looks okay and not too, horrible to look at. And yeah, other than that, all I can say is thank you for watching. Hopefully, if you did like it, again, give us a like or a subscribe. That would really mean something, because it's not just this content I'm going to be doing on the channel. If you look on the channel as well, there's video that I've done where it's like an hour and a half long critique of The Last of Us 2, which I really enjoyed doing, and I'm currently working on my next long form essay, which is about the recent Hitman games. So yeah, if you like the Hitman games, subscribe to us, make sure you're following us, because I'm gonna hopefully release the Hitman one relatively soon. I'm not gonna say it's like in the next few weeks or anything like this, because the time it takes to write it, record it, edit it is a long time. It took me 7 months off and on doing the Last of Us 2 video, because obviously I'm juggling work as well as everything else. But yeah, sorry, I'm going to stop waffling now. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, that'd be amazing. Subscribe if you want to, and make sure you keep up every week with these new videos, because we're going to be, going through the memory lane of it. And hopefully you'll remember some games as well that you might have forgotten about a long time ago. So yeah guys, if you did enjoy the video, give us a like, that will really help us out. Consider subscribing as well. We're going to be doing this every week, like I say, and it's going to be really interesting, at least for me. Hopefully it'll be interesting for you as well. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So until then, see you later.